Intuition is not a magic psychic power, but common sense at its most basic level, as natural as our five senses, and revealing practical things to the humblest among us. My guest today has said, if you have a brain, if you have a body, if you sleep, and if you dream, then you have it, intuition. And if you learn to tap into it, you can create health and happiness. I'm Audrey Hope, and this is Real Women. And I welcome my very special guest, Mona Lisa Schulz, neuropsychiatrist, scientist, medical intuitive. Her work is in clinical medicine and brain research, and she holds degrees from Brown University and Boston University of Medicine. And she is here today to talk about her new book, Awakening Intuition, using your mind-body network for insight and healing. Welcome, Mona Lisa.
Thanks.
I said this to Joan Borisenko, and I said this to Carolyn Mace. It is so wonderful that you bring a scientific background to this knowledge so that we can really take this information seriously. Could you explain what intuition is and its general characteristics?
Well, intuition is the capacity to make a correct decision with insufficient information. And you see, all of us, every single day, we have an addiction to the intellect, to the acquisition of information. But intuition, eventually we have to make a correct decision without getting enough information, and that's where intuition comes in.
I see. We don't pay attention to its value in our culture. And there's also biological reasons for that. You talk about that in your book.
Well, the reason is because, well, for one thing, intuition is mostly in the right brain. And the right brain is what we call the non-dominant brain. Most of our society is left brain dominant. We really love credentials, we love degrees, we love writing, we love reading, anything in the print. We love rational intellect.
Right.
And we worship on the altar of rational intellect. Intuition is the other. And the reality is it's the non-dominant sense. And that one, as a result, gets run over by the intellect. But you see, all of us eventually end up making decisions by basis of intuition anyway. Nurses on units, studies have been suggested that nurses, most of the expert nurses make the decisions by intuition.
Wow.
And then they balance them with the left brain intellect.
Wow. It's fascinating. So you sort of have your body, your mind might not pay attention to the intuition, but the body kind of does. You talk about that in your book, some nurses just getting up in the middle of the night and realizing that a patient is ill.
Well, when I was working as a medical student in the unit, you know, the intensive care unit, where actually the sickest, most dangerously ill patients are. And the nurses, they eat all night there. It's like a hazard. So a bunch of nurses are sitting around, and they got the Kentucky Fried Chicken, they got the Dunkin' Donuts, they got the popcorn, and they're all, you know, eating a wing, throwing the bones. And this would drive me crazy because I would hear all the sounds of all the alarms go off. I mean, if you roll over, the alarm goes off. If you look the wrong way, the alarm goes off. And they would just, if you literally got up like I did for every alarm, by the end of your rotation, you'd be absolutely exhausted. These nurses, if an alarm went off, they'd reach for another chicken wing, or they'd go for another donut hole. And then all of a sudden, one bell would go off that sounded exactly like the other ones. They would all drop their wings, get up, and run, and it was that patient coding and almost dying. And I asked them, how do you know? How do you know the difference between one bell and another bell? How can you tell which one is a real alarm and which one is a false alarm? And they just said, they looked at me and they said, well, you just know.
You just know. You just know.
And so I learned to hang out with the nurses who just knew. So on the beginning of my shift, I would go up to, and they always looked the same. They're kind of a little overweight because they've been spending a lot of time with the chicken wings. And I'd say, so you know, how's the evening going to be tonight? And the woman would go, not good. And I'd say, well, who's going to go belly up? And they'll say, Mary Brown, bed 6A. I say, why? Are her vital signs? Is it her heart rate? Is it her blood pressure? She's like, no. I said, is it her chest x-ray? EKG? Nope. I said, what is it? Is there skin pallor? Nope. She said, I don't know. They just don't. They're just not right. I get a sense. And so I would prepare the code cart, and when the patient was going under, I was always able to be there. And I realized that was really where you could shine, was balancing your intellect that you learned in medical school, reading all the book facts, and also supplementing it with intuition, that extra sense.
Right, so left brain, right brain. The intuition comes from the right brain?
Well, not just the right brain. See, you see, the deal is this, is every single one of us are different. You're different, I'm different. People in the studio are going to say, boy, those two people, they look really very different. And it's not because you have curly hair and I have straight hair and you dress differently from me. We all approach the world differently. We've had different things happen to us. We have different ways of looking at the world, different brain styles, different body styles. As a result, we will also have different intuitive styles. So some people will be body intuitives. They will feel something ahead of time. They will feel it in their gut, or they'll feel it on their chest, or they will feel it in their bones, or they feel it by the hair standing up in the back of their neck. They're body intuitives. Other people, they'll start to see things. Like mothers can know what's going on with their kid. They basically have like one of those Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom where they tag the child and they know where the kid's going and they know it intuitively. Right. They know where their husbands are too and their husbands don't like it either, and so on. Men have another type of intuition. Men are into their body. They also have body intuition. They know unerringly. In football fields or other athletic endeavors, they can always tell who's behind them, and it's not from memory. It's a body intuitive sense, and so on. So if you have a left brain, if you have a right brain, if you sleep at night and dream, and if you've got a body, by definition you're intuitive, but the idea is to find out what part of that network you are more likely and able to access for intuition.
I see. So has science accepted medical intuition?
Have science...
I mean, how do people feel? How does the medical profession feel about it?
Well, let me tell you a study they did in Iowa. There's some people who are missing the very important areas of the brain for intuition. And they wanted to study what made these people different. And the author of this study, Dr. Damasio, said that intuition was an important way to make decisions in one's life. He also acknowledged that. Well, these patients had certain areas in their brain that were damaged, and those are the areas that are supposed to be good for intuition and decision making. These people were paralyzed in their life. They literally could not make decisions. And in fact, I had a patient like this. They're so attached to the intellect and facts that they go through life and they're paralyzed because they can never eventually make a decision, because ultimately it has to do it from your gut. This guy rented a car for a week, for an entire year. He rented a car 52 weeks in a row because he couldn't figure out what car to buy. He was literally paralyzed because he kept wanting more and more information, and he was missing this area in the brain. And what this scientist acknowledged was that this area in the brain, and the frontal and the temporal lobe, front parts of the brain, the area of what Carolyn Mace would say, the area behind the eyes, is where one part of intuition comes from. So does science acknowledge that intuition exists? I'd say absolutely. We have studies that suggest that there are brain areas that are important for intuition. In addition, we also know that the scientific literature suggests that you can know what's going on in your body and a disease by your dreams. Your dreams can herald illness. So some people have dreams that a rat is taking little nips out of their stomach, and then 2 months later they develop holes in their stomach, and also, and so on. So there are classic dreams that can intuit what's going to go on with you ahead of time, and these have all been documented in the scientific literature.
And we're more awake when we're sleeping.
We're more awake when we're sleeping. There is intellect awakeness, and there's intuitive awakeness. And the title of my book is Awakening Intuition. You are, or I am, awake right now to one way of seeing in the world.
I see.
But because we have to focus on this conversation and the cameras and, you know, not messing up and everything like that, we might be asleep to our intuition. And the idea is to learn how to live your life on all cylinders, to be able to be awake to your intellect and also awake to your intuition at the same time.
Okay, Mona Lisa, you have a fascinating story about how intuition opened up in your life. Can you tell us about it? Go through your school years. And
well, it's the awakening thing, because the reason why I know about awakening is because I spent a lot of time asleep. Now you might, ever since I can remember, I wanted to be real smart, and I realized that the way that people really approved of you is if you got a lot of degrees and got a lot of A's, and so I was into the approval thing, and so that's what I did, and I overdid it a little bit, so I got all these degrees. But during this endeavor, what would happen was the thing that I was building up so much in my brain, the intellect, became less and less available to me because I would have this problem where I would all of a sudden fall asleep. So I'm walking down the street, out cold on the sidewalk, riding a bike up a hill on the the yellow line.
Yes.
Make a left-hand turn.
Yes.
Gone.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, it's not amazing.
I mean, nothing has happened to you that you're sitting here today with all of that.
Oh no, I actually got run over by a truck, but this
okay.
I don't want to go over the truck thing. But what I want to say is that all of us have something that happens in our life that forces us to not use our intellect to make decisions, but forces us to listen to the other part of our senses, to listen to our intuition. And what happened for me was literally my intellect went to sleep, and I had to use my intuition. I went to medical school, and it got better. I learned how to stop those spells. When I got to medical school, I had just done my PhD, and I was now basking into my intellect. I had learned how to stop the sleep spells. I had used medication for a while, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, running. You know how you do all the alternative stuff because you're desperate.
Yes.
And I got a patient. Her name was Mary Brown, age 48. And so I'm ready to use my intellect. And my attending, who gave me the patient's name, is off. So they're not going to give me any information. I have no information.
I see.
And so I start to imagine, okay, as I'm going down the elevator, Mary Brown, 48, what would she have? So I have my clipboard, and I'm thinking, oh, she's around 5'4", moderately obese. She's got green stretch pants, not the kind like you have, high-end, but she had the ones with the, she's tucking in the shirt and the pants. She shouldn't tuck the shirt in the pants, and because she's moderately obese. She's clutching on the right side of her abdomen. She says she thinks she's got a gallbladder problem. So I'm seeing this lady in my mind.
Wow.
And by the time I get down there, I've used all the information in my pockets. What would I do with a woman who thinks that she has a gallbladder? So I'm starting to work up a patient who I haven't even seen yet. So the books, the information now, I'm balancing my intuition with my intellect. The books say check the bilirubin. I got to haul her over to ultrasound and radiology to check to see if the duct's blocked. I got to check her whites of her eyes to see if she's got jaundice. So I am working up this patient before I've seen her. By the time I get down there, I pull the curtain over in the ER, and there is Mary Brown lying there with these green stretch pants saying, "Doctor, doctor, it's my gallbladder." So what I learned was to use my intuition to balance my intellect, become a better physician.
Amazing. And personally, you say that you got hit by a truck. So you say that if you don't listen to things the first time, it will hit you harder.
You get nudged.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
I mean, I personally do know what you mean.
Well, the deal is that everyone's a body intuitive because you got the body. And the way you figure it is this, is we're born with a body, and our body speaks to us and tells us when our life needs to be changed. Consider your body like a car. I'm from Boston, so we don't put the R's in. But anyway, consider your body like a car that has a dashboard with warning lights. And so certain warning lights mean the oil, certain warning lights mean the electrical system, the same thing with your body. Each organ, the scientific literature suggests that specific organs are related to specific emotional situations in your life. And that organ will speak to you intuitively to force you to examine something in your life. And at first it might give you a little nudge, you feel a little churning in your stomach. The stomach's on the other side. You feel churning. And if you ignore it, it will feel burning. And next thing you know, you drop a stomach, you get a bleeding also.
Right.
So the idea is one would think that you listen to it when your intuition first, when your body started talking to you through mild symptoms. If you ignore it, they get moderate symptoms. And then if you ignore your intuition again through your body, you'll get an illness. And the idea is that our bodies are like compasses. Intuition is inside of there, and it points you through symptoms and indicates what part in your life needs to change. And I ignored it because after the bridge thing, getting run over, 1984, I was going to run the Boston Marathon. And my neurologist said, don't run. You're having a lot of these spells. We have to triple your medicine. She said, "You're not going to run, are you?" I looked at her. She said, "You're going to run, aren't you?" And I looked at her. And she said, "Just be careful." So I start out at Hopkinton, and I get as far as Wellesley. Am I listening to my body? Because I'm very headstrong. I know it doesn't look it, but I really am. I get as far as Wellesley, and it's the story of my life. I don't know who I am, but I know where I'm going because I'm really headstrong. So I get to Wellesley, and my body is veering all over the road because I now have heat stroke, and my body is screaming and telling me to stop, but am I listening? No. So the Red Cross comes and says, do you know who you are? Because they're evaluating me. And I said, no, but I know where I'm going. I'm going to the Prudential Center. I'm going to the finish line. And then they pulled me over. So the idea is that if you don't listen to your body and its intuitive messages, the symptoms of disease or illness, then it will literally pull you over out of the road in your life where you think you're going and force you to reevaluate who you are and where you're going.